Take the 15th north to Morena Valley where it meets the I-10. Go east 275 miles and get off on exit 17. Take West Main Street to High Jolly Lane in Quartzsite, Arizona, and you'll find a small pyramid, a monument. It actually marks the gravesite of a man named High Jolly, and the inscription will read, "The last camp of High Jolly, born somewhere in Syria about 1828, died at Quartzsite December 16, 1902, came to this country February 10, 1856, camel driver, packer, scout, over 30 years of faithful and loyal servant to the U.S. government, Arizona Highway Department, 1935. This is all true. This is all real." Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Trevor. This is Read More, and before we get to today's book review, I'm doing 5 tips on how to fix your reading. So maybe your reading doesn't need to be fixed, that's cool, but just consider this sort of a check-in or a reminder. I don't know if they're best practices, they're my practices, they're my thoughts. Just as a librarian and a reader, was an English major back in college, who could have guessed? And just wanted to share some tips, maybe hear from you what tips you have how to help others reading. All right, so number 1, select good books. How do you do that, right? Sometimes in the library, readers have all sorts of tastes. Not everyone likes the same thing. We really have to respect that there's all kinds of books for everyone of differing tastes. And at the same time, I think we all know what it is to read a bad book, right? Nothing can stop your momentum as a reader than just like a really lousy, thin plot or flimsy characters or just a book that doesn't come together, and it just kind of puts you off the whole experience for a while. So my best advice is, look to websites like LitHub is a great recommendation. I do check the LA Review of Books sometimes for reviews on things. Goodreads, it's a big favorite of mine at looking at what other people think of a title. And of course, San Diego Library.org, in our catalog called BiblioCommons, you can actually write reviews yourself and read other reviews of any title that you can find in the catalog. So number 2, if you're not enjoying a book, put it down, move on. Sometimes people feel this need to start a book and then you have to finish it because you're a completist and you have to do that sort of thing. Don't do that. Get away from that. That's a waste of your life. You're not getting that time back. If you're not enjoying a book and you've given it the college try, talking more than 10 pages but less than 100, and you're just not understanding what's going on, you're not feeling it, maybe you're not in the right mood for that book, put it down, move on. No one's gonna gripe at you, only yourself. So I would just say, just get over it and move on to that next book that you're actually excited about reading. All right, number three, keep a list and take notes. Keeping a list actually is something I know is not for everyone, especially if you don't read an entire book, but for books maybe you read cover to cover or you read the majority of them. Think about writing it down, like books I read in 2020, okay? And then you're gonna find as that list starts to fill out, you're really going to want to make the next entry. So it kind of keeps you going and it creates this dynamic where you want to keep reading. So I do recommend keeping a list. Taking notes, of course. Do not take notes in a library book, but taking notes on the side, like a yellow paper, a yellow pad of paper, or a notebook can really help you remember and make books coalesce as a whole, especially when you come to like book club night or want to have some cues about what you liked, what you disliked about a book. Number 4, join a book club. We're gonna have a future video about advice on how to join or start a book club on your own. San Diego Public Library does have some book clubs that you can join and check out. They're virtual right now. Eventually, of course, we hope to be back with in-person book clubs. I'm gonna put the link right down below there. And even outside of the library, of course, librarians love supporting book clubs, even unaffiliated with the library. So think about, if you have some friends who read, or you want to strike out on your own. I know different people have used Facebook and meetup.com for ways of making something happen, right? Because sometimes you can't find something. When you can't find something that's for you, maybe you need the one to start the party, right? Don't be shy. And last one, number 5, maybe this is obvious, but don't stop. Keep reading, all right? Let's leave it at that. Now for today's book review. No joke, this is, if not 2020's, technically it's 2019's, this is the book of the year. Book clubs, you're all going to be reading this in 12 months, so you might as well go ahead and start reading it now. Get copies of it now. It is excellent. I can't say enough about it. So we follow pioneer Nora Lark, who's in the midst of severe drought in the fictional town of Amargo, Arizona. It's supposed to be somewhere between Flagstaff and Black Canyon City, for those of you who know that country. She's waiting for both her husband and sons to come back and return. This is just within the span of one day, in the same spot around her kind of a homestead there. It's Nora Lark's story, first and foremost. And I think making it all within the span of 24 hours is really something. And Obret, who I previously in another video said I thought it was Gaelic. Turns out that she is a Serbian American. So shows what I know. Then there's a second plot thread featuring this outlaw named Luri Mati, and he is of Middle Eastern descent. He's an outlaw, at least at first. He falls into all sorts of trouble, has all kinds of travails, and he's just always on the run, perpetual refugee, whether he's on the run, on the lam, whatever. His story spans years and years of his life. I mean, we check in with him at some times, and then the next time it's like 5 years have gone by sort of thing. So kind of a contrast between Nora's story, which is this small span of time in one place, and then we have Luri Mati, who is all across the country. This is about the 1890s. So it's about 300 pages. It's very dense. There's a lot going on in this book, but at the same time, it really held my attention. I didn't have any trouble where I had to concentrate terribly to get through a passage. This book was compared a lot to Cormac McCarthy, mainly because I think Blood Meridian and the Western material. Stylistically, though, I don't see it. She is an excellent writer, but McCarthy is just different. He's much more lyrical, and she's capable of lyricism too, but I just thought ultimately in the book press, that was kind of a lazy comparison. I love McCarthy, don't get me wrong, but I don't see it. If you disagree, let me know. What's going on? Why is this the book of the year? Really kind of, it's not a demythologizing of the West. It's a re-mythologizing of the West. You have a main character who's a woman, and she's tough. And at the same time, it's like her toughness and this kind of like having to emulate men has done nothing for her. Trying to be more macho or stoic, it has just gotten her nowhere. She's a pioneer and she's a homesteader. She has staked a claim in the Old West. And it's just, she doesn't have a lot to show for it in the midst of drought and what's happening to her family. And so this is kind of breaking apart of what maybe the idea, the myth of the American West did for a lot of folks, or still exists in some people's heads. Then we have the other person, Luri Mati. He's a criminal who we like. He's of Middle Eastern descent, so he's not sort of your typical white Protestant American. He has no hope of ever owning property in America. I think all he hopes for is to just stop being constantly harassed and being chased by his past. Between these two different people, and the great thing about Luri Mati is, he's so in love with his animal, who happens to be a camel, and you'll learn more about that as you read the book. But he's very passionate, and a lot of his addresses to his camel are like love letters. So he's really just like this silent Marlboro man, type at all. And so it's like myth busting, but with like poetry and a new reality that really resonates to today, and holds true to the actual historical document as our beginning little forward address. So Inland, Tia Obret, I can't say enough about it. Check it out. It's awesome. It's a great read. This has been Read More. Thank you all. I'll see you next time.